There's a particular kind of unease that settles over a devoted television audience when a familiar face suddenly disappears from the screen without explanation. It is not quite worry, not yet, but rather a feeling that is similar to it. A mild but persistent awareness arises that something has shifted, that the comfortable rhythm of a show you have made part of your daily routine has changed in a way that has not yet been accounted for. For the loyal viewers of Live with Kelly and Mark, that unease arrived quietly but unmistakably in recent days. As Kelly Ripa, the anchor and driving force of the ABC daytime institution she has hosted for more than 2 decades, was noticeably absent from the desk she had occupied with such consistency and evident enjoyment for so long. The questions followed quickly. Where is Kelly? What happened? Is everything okay? The comments sections of the show's social media accounts are filled with exactly the kind of concerned, affectionate inquiry that reflects just how deeply this particular television host has embedded herself in the daily lives of her audience. Here's what we know. The absence becomes noticeable. Television audiences are inherently habitual creatures. The shows they watch every day become part of the structure of their lives, reliable presences that mark the passage of time and provide a kind of comfortable continuity against the backdrop of everything else that changes. When those presences suddenly change, the disruption registers more deeply than the casual observer might expect. Kelly Ripa's absence from Live with Kelly and Mark registered immediately with the show's core audience. For viewers who tune in every morning expecting to see her at the desk, animated, candid, and working through the day's topics with the particular energy that has made her one of daytime television's most enduring personalities, her empty chair is not a small thing. It was a noticeable gap in something they had come to depend on. The show, as it always does during a host's absence, continued with guest co-hosts, filling the chair beside Mark Consuelos. The episodes aired. The conversation flowed, the production maintained the professional standards that decades of experience have embedded in the show's DNA. But Kelly was not there, and her audience noticed and cared in a way that speaks to the depth of the connection she has built with the people who watch her every morning. What the show has said: when a beloved television host is absent, the manner in which the absence is acknowledged or not acknowledged becomes its own form of communication. Live with Kelly and Mark has handled Kelly's time away with the kind of measured, low-key acknowledgement that characterizes well-run productions navigating a sensitive situation. Viewers have been informed, in general terms, that Kelly is away, without the kind of detailed explanation that would either alarm or over-reassure, because neither of those responses would serve the audience or the host particularly well. Mark Consuelos, holding down the desk in his wife's absence, has addressed the situation with the warmth and directness that viewers have come to expect from him. He has been present and engaged, managing the show with the ease of someone who has spent years developing an on-air chemistry with his co-host that does not entirely disappear just because she is temporarily not in the room. He has acknowledged that Kelly is away. He has communicated in the specific way that longtime television hosts communicate things without saying them directly, that everything is fundamentally okay. That communication has done some of the work of reassuring a concerned audience, but not all of it, because the people who love Kelly Ripa have been watching her long enough to know when they are receiving a complete picture and when they are receiving a managed one. The nature of unexpected absences. In the world of daytime television, host absences happen for a wide range of reasons, most of them entirely mundane, even when they do not feel that way to the audience experiencing them. Illness, family obligations, pre-planned vacations that did not make it onto the public calendar, and personal matters that require attention outside the studio. All of these are normal features of any human life, including the lives of people who happen to live those lives largely in public. Kelly Ripa, despite the extraordinary transparency she has always brought to her public persona, is also a private person in the ways that matter. She has been candid about her life in the ways she chose to be candid, and she has maintained with equal consistency the right to keep certain things within the boundaries of her family and her own experience. That is not a contradiction. It is simply the reality of being a person who has chosen to share generously without choosing to share everything. What this means practically is that the full context of any given absence may not be something Kelly or the show is obligated to provide. The audience's affection for her, genuine and deep as it is, does not create an entitlement to explanations that she has not chosen to offer. This is worth remembering, even as the questions continue to circulate. Fan response. Affection expressed as concern. The social media response to Kelly's absence has been, at its core, a form of love letter written in the language of worry. The comments and posts and questions that have accumulated across the show's platforms are not, for the most part, the expressions of people demanding information they feel owed. They are the expressions of people who have spent years, in many cases decades, welcoming Kelly Ripa into their mornings, and who feel her absence the way you feel the absence of any consistent, positive presence in your daily life. There is something genuinely touching about the scale and the sincerity of the response. Kelly has always talked about her relationship with her audience as one of the most meaningful of her professional life, a real connection built through real time spent together. That has weathered the changes of more than 20 years in a rapidly changing television landscape. The response to her absence is evidence that the connection is exactly as real as she has always described it. The messages range from straightforward concern, "Hope everything is okay, we miss you," to the kind of warm, specific expressions of appreciation that people offer when they suddenly become aware of how much something matters to them. There are viewers who have watched Kelly every morning for 20 years. There are viewers who started watching during difficult periods of their own lives and associate her with the comfort of those mornings. There are viewers who have grown up with her, who have watched their children grow up watching her. All of them want to know she is well, what her absence reveals about her presence. There is a paradox at the center of this story that is worth sitting with for a moment. Kelly Ripa's absence from Live with Kelly and Mark is revealing, with unusual clarity, exactly how significant her presence is. Not in the abstract sense of recognizing someone's importance when they are no longer there, though that dynamic is certainly operating, but in the very concrete sense of watching what a show built around a specific personality looks like when that personality is temporarily removed. The show continues. It is produced professionally and warmly. Mark is a capable and engaging host who handles the absence with grace. Guest co-hosts bring their energies and perspectives, and yet, the specific quality that Kelly brings to the show, the particular combination of candor, humor, intelligence, warmth, and completely unself-conscious authenticity that she's been delivering to morning television audiences for 23 years is not something that can be substituted or replicated. It is hers. It is her. And when it is absent, the space it usually occupies is perceptible in a way that capable substitution cannot entirely fill. That is the mark of a genuinely irreplaceable presence. Not everyone who hosts a television show achieves it. Kelly Ripa has had it for as long as she has been doing her job. Looking ahead, the questions will continue until Kelly returns to the desk, at which point they will be answered by the simple fact of her presence, her voice, her laugh, her particular way of beginning a Monday morning by making several million people feel slightly better about their day. Until then, her audience patiently waits, trusting that their valued connection will be restored, a trust built on a long track record of evidence. She will be back. She always comes back. When she returns, the audience that has been asking for her will welcome her warmly, having been reminded of her importance to them. That kind of welcome cannot be manufactured. It has to be earned over years and decades of genuine connection. When a beloved television personality steps away from the show that has defined their public life for more than 2 decades, the natural human response is to want to understand why. Not out of nosiness, or not entirely, but out of the genuine concern that grows from years of feeling connected to someone through the intimate daily medium of morning television. Kelly Ripa's recent absence from Live with Kelly and Mark has generated exactly that kind of concerned curiosity from the show's devoted audience. The questions have been consistent and heartfelt. Is she okay? What is happening? When is she coming back? They are the questions of people who care, asked in the language of people who have built a real relationship with a television host over a very long period of time. Now, sources familiar with the situation are beginning to shed some light on what may be behind the break, and the picture that is emerging is, by most accounts, a reassuringly ordinary one. The most likely explanations in the world of daytime television, host absences rarely have dramatic explanations. The format demands an extraordinary amount of its lead personalities. 5 days a week, nearly every week of the year, with a consistency and energy level that would exhaust most people in considerably less time than Kelly Ripa has spent doing it. The occasional break, when it comes, tends to have causes that are entirely understandable once they are known. Sources indicate that Kelly's current time away from the show is most likely attributable to one or a combination of three broad categories: personal commitments that required her full attention, health considerations of the kind that affect everyone at some point regardless of their professional obligations, or production scheduling decisions that were made in advance and simply did not receive the public communication that would have preempted the speculation now circulating. None of these explanations, it should be noted, suggests anything alarming. All of them are entirely consistent with the experience of a real human being navigating a full and demanding life. Personal commitments. The pull of family. Kelly Ripa has always been, at her core, a family-first person, a quality that has coexisted, sometimes with considerable logistical complexity, alongside a career that has demanded enormous amounts of her time and energy for more than 2 decades. Her 3 children, Michael, 28, Lola, 24, and Joaquin, 23, are now fully launched adults with their own careers and lives. But the emotional geography of family does not simplify just because children are grown. If anything, the particular challenges of staying connected to adult children who are building independent lives in a demanding industry require their own kind of sustained investment and presence. Joaquin's recent Broadway debut in Death of a Salesman was a significant family milestone, one that Kelly and Mark attended with visible pride and evident emotion. The kind of milestone that tends to generate its own gravitational field of family activity, celebrations, conversations, the natural drawing together of people around a shared moment of pride and joy. Beyond her children, Kelly's life contains the full range of personal obligations and commitments that any person's life contains. The family matters, the friendships, the personal relationships that require attention and presence in ways that do not always conform neatly to a production schedule. Sources suggest that personal commitments of this kind may be at least partially responsible for her current time away, though the specific details remain, appropriately, her own. Health considerations, the reality nobody discusses enough. The entertainment industry has a complicated relationship with health. On one hand, the demands of live daily television create real and ongoing pressures on the physical and mental well-being of the people who do it. On the other hand, there is an industry culture that tends to treat taking time for health as something requiring justification, a concession to human limitation that sits uncomfortably alongside the expectation of constant, consistent performance. Kelly Ripa has been more candid than most public figures about the realities of maintaining health under the pressures of a high-profile career. She has spoken over the years about her approach to physical wellness, about the importance of sleep, and about the way she manages the demands of a schedule that would exhaust most people who encountered it. She has been honest about the fact that she is a human being with a human body, subject to the same range of health considerations that everyone faces. If health considerations are contributing to her current absence, and sources indicate this is possible, though not necessarily the primary factor, the most appropriate response from her audience is not alarm, but the same straightforward compassion they would extend to anyone they care about who needs time to address their health. Taking time when your body or mind requires it is not a failure, it is wisdom. And Kelly Ripa, who has given so much of herself to her audience for so many years, has more than earned the right to take whatever time she needs. Production scheduling, the explanation nobody considers first, perhaps the least dramatic explanation for Kelly's absence, and therefore the one least likely to generate social media conversation. Despite being among the most probable, is straightforward production scheduling. Daytime television operates on complex production calendars that are planned weeks and sometimes months in advance. Blocks of time are built in for host vacations, pre-taped episodes, location shoots, and the various other logistical realities of producing live programming 5 days a week for most of the year. These scheduled breaks are entirely normal features of how shows like Live with Kelly and Mark function. And they happen with enough regularity that experienced industry observers rarely find them noteworthy. The disconnect, when it occurs, is almost always a communication one. When a scheduled break is not clearly communicated to the audience in advance, either through an on-air announcement, a social media post, or the kind of casual mention that usually accompanies planned absences, the audience has no framework for understanding what they are seeing. The empty chair looks different when you know it is a planned vacation than when it appears without explanation. Sources suggest that at least some element of production scheduling may be involved in Kelly's current absence, which would make the situation considerably less mysterious than the audience response has suggested. Mark Consuelos, steady in the storm. Whatever the specific reasons behind Kelly's absence, one consistent and reassuring presence has remained at the live desk throughout. Mark Consuelos, who has handled the temporary solo hosting role with the quiet competence of someone who has been paying close attention to this job for a long time. Mark's performance in Kelly's absence has been a reminder that he is considerably more than a supporting player in the show's dynamic. He is a capable, warm, and genuinely engaging television host in his own right. Someone who brings his own perspective and energy to the desk, rather than simply waiting for his co-host to return. He has maintained the show's tone and spirit with evident care. He has been gracious with guest co-hosts, creating the kind of comfortable on-air dynamic that makes for good television even in unusual circumstances. He has addressed Kelly's absence with the right combination of reassurance and discretion, saying enough to communicate that everything is fundamentally okay without saying more than is appropriate to say. In doing so, he has offered the audience something valuable. Evidence that the show they love is in capable hands, and that the person they are concerned about has a partner at home and on screen who is managing things with genuine steadiness and care. The audience's role in this story. It would be easy to characterize the audience response to Kelly's absence as simply the outsized reaction of people who are too invested in a television show. That characterization would be both uncharitable and inaccurate. The concern that Kelly Ripa's viewers have expressed in her absence is the natural expression of a real relationship, one that she has cultivated consciously and consistently for more than 20 years. She has invited her audience into her life in ways that few television hosts have matched. She has been honest with them about her joys and her struggles, her opinions and her doubts, her family and her marriage, and the full, complicated texture of her experience. They have responded to that honesty by caring about her in return. That caring does not disappear when she steps away from the desk. It waits for her return, expressing itself in the interim as the only thing it can express itself as: concern and questions, and the quiet, persistent hope that she is okay. She will be back. The desk will be full again. The morning will resume its familiar rhythm. And the audience that has been asking where she is will receive the only answer that has ever really mattered. She is here, and she is herself, and everything is fine.